Other couples get married and go on a honeymoon, but this newlywed couple runs to the South Pacific, to the center of a deserted island to survive. They only brought 2 knives and the clothes on their backs. Here near the equator, the sun's temperature can roast meat. Adam and Eve decided to take a walk in the forest first to get acquainted with the environment. They discovered various small animals in the forest. This giant coconut crab can easily break a human arm. A bird's nest in a tree caught both of their attention. Inside were several small birds. Adam said he wanted to put them in a pot to stew. Eva said he had no compassion. How could such cute little birds be eaten? Hearing this, Adam had to give up the idea. Then they saw a swarm of rats. This proves that there are no poisonous snakes on this deserted island. This has led to a rat infestation here, but it seems they won't be able to sleep peacefully here at night. The two left the forest and went to the beach. They decided to build their sleeping quarters here for the night, to avoid being attacked by coconut crabs. They needed a stand to lift the sleeping surface. Then they laid the tree trunk on the stand. A warm double bed was ready. Lying down, they could admire the sea view. It was very peaceful. Next was starting a fire. Adam used an ancient fire starting method called the fire plow. By rubbing 2 pieces of wood together, a flame soon appeared. They put in the prepared tinder and then gently blew with their mouths. A second later, the flame blazed brightly. But there was no food. Their first night on the deserted island, they could only live in hunger. The two did a few rounds of exercise and quickly fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, the couple woke up early to find protein. They went to the beach to try their luck. They spotted a flounder. Just as they were about to make a move, the flounder darted away as quickly as a lover's betrayal. But immediately Adam discovered a sea cucumber under his foot. If they couldn't eat the flounder, a sea cucumber wouldn't be bad. These red things were sea cucumber roe. Adam picked them up and ate them for breakfast. Sea cucumber is a delicacy that only nobles could afford to eat. After eating, they released the sea cucumber back into the sea. It would heal itself over time. Then Adam wanted to make a fishing spear. He told his wife to go to the shore and see if there were any other seafood. Before she left, she didn't forget to show some affection. Adam chose a long piece of wood. After some work, it was transformed into an Aquaman-like trident. The chance of catching fish increased threefold. With it, they could do anything they wanted at sea. There were many clams here, but they were stuck in the rocks. She couldn't pry them out. She put all her strength into it. Finally, she managed to pry out a clam. Then she spotted a sea urchin. But sea urchins have sharp spines. She was already holding a lot of seafood. How could she carry it all back? She cleverly put the clam into her bra. Then she put the sea urchin into a coconut shell. When they returned to camp, Adam was finishing the shelter. Life on the deserted island felt like a vacation for the two. Adam reached into Ava's shirt to get the clam out, preparing to start cooking and smash the sea urchin with a vegetable. Then the processing began. Water suddenly gushed out, removing the innards and preparing the rest for roasting. Grilled seafood will be out soon. Take a bite, crispy and gappy, then try the grilled clams, soft and sweet with a wonderful flavor. After eating, I still felt unsatisfied. Adam went back into the sea with his dingba. A sea eel swam right in front of him. He grabbed the dingba and lunged to attack, but the eel still slipped away, leaving him standing there awkwardly. Time passed little by little until sunset. He still hadn't harvested anything, so he could only return to camp empty-handed. Next up is Plan B. He's targeting coconut crabs. First, he uses a knife to carve a hole in the coconut to expose the end. Then he uses a rope to secure the coconut to a rock and then just waits for the coconut crab to come and clamp onto the coconut. It could only wait obediently to die. In the evening, the two of them took torches to check the trap, and a giant coconut crab had fallen into the trap. They couldn't hesitate, so they quickly skewered it. They brought it back to camp and ate their fill. There's no longer any worry about a lack of protein. Waking up the next day, Adam felt exhausted. Then they both drank coconut water. A beautiful day began. Adam saw a visitor on the tree. This is a white seabird. They don't have nests, instead laying their eggs directly on branches. Adam climbed the tree to steal its eggs right in front of it. But an egg the size of a thumb wasn't enough to fill his stomach. Eva went into the forest to find food while Adam went to pick coconuts. This is the only water they can drink on the island. Eva saw a small crab on the ground. She directly stole it. After that, she found a white seabird on a tree and the egg it had just laid. She climbed the tree and slowly approached her target. The white seabird was very scared, but with the instinct of a mother, it still bravely stood up to fight with humans. Eva was touched by that spirit. Finally, she cruelly took the egg, then continued searching. She found a coconut crab taking a nap. Coconut crabs can pinch a person's finger off, so Eva could only stab it with a stick. When it crawled out of its hole, she used her knife to finish it. After a while, she harvested quite a lot. Seeing his wife bring so much protein back to camp, Adam was surprised. The two of them quickly had a lavish feast. Fatty grilled coconut crab, nutritious boiled bird eggs, it was wonderful. But Adam always felt something was missing. He still hadn't eaten the eel he craved these past few days. So he went back into the sea with his trident. He vowed that today, no matter the cost, he would catch that eel. Eva wasn't idle either. She swam straight into the sea. She caught a horseshoe crab as big as her palm. Adam on the other side finally saw the eel. He chased it and speared it. Just using the trident wasn't enough. He had to draw his knife and give it a few more stabs. The poor eel was dispatched. They brought it back to camp to enjoy the meal: juicy horseshoe crab and delicious fatty grilled eel. The deliciousness was beyond words. Today is the last day on the deserted island in the Pacific. A yacht is approaching them. It's time to set sail for the next challenge. The next challenge location the two chose was Tasmania, a wild island south of Australia. They would stay here for 3 days and 3 nights. As they were waving goodbye to the boat nearing the shore, Adam suddenly drew his knife. Without a word, he stabbed the boat, puncturing it. Fortunately, they weren't too far from shore. It was winter here, so the water was very cold. Soaked to the bone, they shivered uncontrollably from the cold. They quickly changed into clean clothes. While they were at it, they also served up some couple goals for the viewers. Then Adam went for a stroll. He wanted to find a prime spot to build a shelter. He found a place surrounded by rocks on 3 sides. All it needed was a roof to be perfect. They could enjoy the sea view for 3 days. And in the evenings they could even work out. With that said, he raised his rifle to serve as a roof. A simple shelter was completed. Next up was starting a fire. Adam was in charge of crafting the fire starting tools. Eva went to gather firewood. He wanted to use the most primitive fire starting technique, friction. They rubbed vigorously for a long time. By the time they got a flame going, the sun had already set. It was too late to find food. On their first night, they could only go to bed hungry. The next day they woke up. Adam felt a sore back, but survival had to go on. First, they had to solve the freshwater problem. He dug a hole in the ground. He planned to use distillation to purify seawater. He put some seaweed into the hole. Then he covered it with a layer of plastic wrap. Finally, he placed rocks around the plastic wrap to hold it down. This allowed the sun's heat to penetrate, evaporating the water from the seaweed. Meanwhile, Eva was collecting seaweed by the shore. She grabbed a piece of seaweed and smashed it against a rock by the water. Then she cut a large piece of kelp and brought it back to camp. To be able to drink clean water, Adam decided to use kelp to make a water container. The process was simple. Just take a branch and tie it into a knot. Then place it at the bottom of the hole they had just dug. Finally, they secured the plastic wrap with rocks. This way the distilled water would drip into the container. While the idea was creative, obtaining fresh water this way was too slow. Adam decided to go for a walk to see if there were any other freshwater sources. On the way, he found 2 piles of animal droppings. He squeezed them with his hands and found they were full of grass. This meant it was from a herbivore. The droppings were also white, meaning there was calcium in them. This could indicate a carnivore. Based on his experience, where there are animals, there is water. Very quickly he found a swamp. Although it looked dirty, he had a way to filter it into clean water. At this time, Eva was not idle either. She went to the sea to find tonight's dinner. It was a lucky day. She harvested a large abalone, which would supplement her husband's meal tonight. Adam returned to camp with a bag full of water. Although it had been filtered once, it still had an unpleasant smell. It had to be boiled before it could be drunk. Eva was eager to show him the abalone she had caught. Adam was overjoyed that they could eat abalone tonight, followed by Eva's oysters for dessert. Then Eva went back to the water collection pit. She lifted the plastic wrap. She discovered that she had collected half a bag of fresh water. She took a sip and the taste was amazing. Not only was it not salty, but it was also sweet. Such delicious food must be brought back for my husband to try. Adam found it tasty, but the quantity was too small to drink. Therefore, they still had to use water brought back by Adam from the swamp. Pour the water from the swamp into the storage bag. Then hot stones were added and the water immediately boiled. Eva picked it up and took a sip. It tasted like drinking water from a stinky drain. Adam didn't believe it and took a sip himself. He said that although it smelled like feces, at least it was safe. At this moment, the sky suddenly rumbled with a loud thunderclap. It startled them both. This was a sign of an approaching storm. They needed to upgrade their shelter before the storm hit. After their continuous efforts, a sturdy shelter was completed. Just then it started to rain. The 2 men in the camp prepared dinner and the 2 sea bass were roasted. Eva took a bite. This was their first protein meal in 2 days. By evening, due to the excess protein from the 2 sea bass, they had to exercise a lot to consume it. Early the next morning, they went out to search for food for the day. The couple split up. Eva went to the sea to find seafood. Adam checked the surroundings for anything new. He found a type of plant that looked like an onion rich in carbohydrates which could be eaten directly. Then he discovered a local wild fruit called a sea apple. It tasted salty and delicious. At the same time, Eva also found many cranberries, and without a second thought she brought them back. Back at the camp, they began preparing dinner with succulent sea bass seafood and various appetizers. After the meal there were different kinds of fruits. This land of the king truly had an abundance of nutrients. Surviving in the wild felt like a vacation. This was their last night there. On the morning of the fourth day they took their fire and headed to the sea to await rescue so that the rescue team could locate them. They lit a fire on the shore to create a signal, and the rising smoke allowed the helicopter to find them accurately. The challenge in this place was over. Their next challenge would be in a primeval forest. What should you do if you encounter a large black bear in the wild? First, do not make direct eye contact with the bear. Second, do not think about turning and running as it will chase you and hold you back. Third, raise your hands high and shout loudly, making it think you are not an easy target. Finally, slowly back away from the bear's sight. If it still approaches, just grab a stick and fight for your life. In the Great Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, they would not only have to face ferocious black bears and the forest's attacks on humans, but also deal with bad weather and treacherous terrain. As soon as they arrived, they each cut 2 sturdy sticks, making spears for protection. They had to remain vigilant, as at any moment a beast could charge at them. Their current task was to find a suitable place to set up camp. Searching for a while, they found a spacious and flat spot with a stream flowing nearby. It was a perfect place to build a shelter. They found a spacious and flat spot with a stream flowing nearby. It was a perfect place to build a shelter. Before nightfall, the two quickly got to work gathering some wood and flour to put together. Then standing it up and letting it flow, forming a cone to hold on the ground, then twisting the top rope to tighten it, making the whole thing more stable. So the frame of the shelter was done directly. Hanging on it would be no problem. There was still one last step: just cover it with a layer of nylon, then cover the frame with leaves. This way, even if it rained, the two could take shelter. After speaking, she took the nylon bag and wrapped it around the roof, and he gathered some pine needles to make a mattress. This was not only comfortable and soft but also repelled insects. As for Adam, he went to collect a lot of leaves, letting them fall from top to bottom around the tent. Finally, leaving only an entrance, the two went inside to feel it a bit, finding the size just right, perfect for a night of drama. Suddenly Eva discovered something terrible. There was bear droppings on the nearby grass. At this moment they realized they had entered bear territory. So that night they dared not do anything, spending the whole night in fear, constantly thinking that the bear would attack. The next day, today, Adam would go into the forest to find food. He took his spear and left. Hunting was a technical job. One must not make loud noises, one must listen and observe in all directions. At the end of the path was a stream. Adam was sure some small animal would pass by here. Walking along the small path, he found a small turtle, but this was a golden turtle, a critically endangered species. He couldn't do anything about it and finally had to let it go. Then he returned to the camp and took his wife to find food together. This time they found a strangely shaped tree. This was the local bear corn. This was also a favorite food of bears. The two took a bite to try it. The taste was a bit sweet and a bit bitter. It would be great if it were roasted. Without a word, they dug up the whole thing, packed it, and brought it back. They arranged it in a row at the camp and roasted it over the fire. She took a bite and said it tasted like sunscreen. After eating their fill, it was time for a nap. The elders said that the best time for a nap was at noon, followed by rainy weather. After waking up, their energy was replenished and they continued to go out to search for food. The two went to the stream to try their luck. A shrimp was found under a rock, but it was not enough for the two to fill their stomachs. Continuing their search, they harvested a few more shrimp. They skewered them and placed them directly on the fire to roast. Taking a bite, it was crispy. This was truly a gift from nature. The survival journey of the two had reached its final day. This challenge was different from before. No one would come to pick them up. They had to leave the forest and find their way home themselves. Fortunately, the two had learned many survival skills. They knew the easiest way to get out of the forest was to follow the direction of the water. The two walked downstream. The lower the altitude, the more likely they were to find people. The rocks on both sides of the stream were covered with green moss and were very slippery. So they had to walk carefully, step by step. After walking for 2 hours like this, they found a flat area with lush green grass looking like artificial meadows, meaning they are close to human settlements. Then they found an apple tree. It seems someone used to live here. Anyway, they picked apples to eat first. They picked some more to eat on the go. The two continued forward. Suddenly a dark object appeared ahead. Looking closely, it was a black bear. Seeing the two humans holding spears, the bear was a bit wary and retreated. Seeing the black bear disappear, they both breathed a sigh of relief. After calming down, they continued on. Passing through a forest, a log cabin caught their attention. This meant someone had lived here. They slowly approached, but there was nothing inside. It seemed to have been abandoned long ago. As it was getting dark, they decided to rest there for the night and continue their journey the next day. This was the most comfortable night they had slept, as they didn't have to worry about wild animals attacking. After exercising, they slept soundly until morning and continued walking towards a stream. A waterfall appeared ahead. Walking along the rocks beside it, the view gradually widened. Before long, they finally heard human voices. Thus, they had a successful and satisfying wild survival trip. In the next location, they ventured into the Amazon rainforest for survival. This is the region with the richest biodiversity in the world, with cute jaguars, fierce crocodiles, and brightly colored poisonous frogs. Adam and Eve are in the depths of the jungle. To escape, they must find the main Amazon River and wait for a fishing boat to appear and take them away. The first survival principle in the vast jungle is to remove excess clothing, including briefs and underwear, because wet clothes will stick to the skin, causing sores over time. In addition, you must tighten your pant legs to prevent small insects from crawling up to feed. Once everything is ready, you can set off with peace of mind. Adam found something ahead. This is a type of plant in nature rich in vitamin C and other nutrients very good for the human body. He gave it to his wife to try first. After eating it, Eva felt full of energy. Then they continued to follow the stream downwards, because the further down you go, the closer you are to the water source. After walking a bit, they found a stream. Eva suspected it was stagnant water. Adam threw a leaf down and saw the leaf's trajectory change, meaning the water was flowing. They could find larger rivers, and the two quickly moved forward. Adam was clearing the path with his knife when he suddenly shouted. It turned out he had stumbled into a beehive. The wild bees here are not friendly. They are very dangerous. Adam could only carefully go around the beehive. After walking a bit further, a large river indeed appeared ahead. The next step was to build a Titanic ship and sail downstream, but seeing the sun about to set, the priority was the sun was about to set, so the top priority was to build shelter. They would spend the night in the forest. Adam chopped down some trees and quickly used the wood and bark to build a 2-meter raft. A beehive continuing on for a while, and indeed there was a large river ahead. The next step was to build a Titanic, then sail downstream, but seeing the sun about to set, priority is paramount. The sun is about to set, our top priority now is to build a shelter. Well, spend the night in the woods. Adam chopped some wood. He quickly used the wood and bark to make a 2-meter raft. So there's no need to worry about little critters at night. Then go gather more leaves for the roof. Be careful of the biting ants here, their sting hurts 3 times as much as a bee's. There's a 100-year-old turtle that's escaped. It pays no mind to the two of them. Perhaps it feels it has lived enough. Adam quickly catches it, contemplating whether to salt it or eat it with bananas, but Eva is displeased, saying turtles are one of the 4 divine beasts. How dare you eat a turtle, she says, tears welling up. Adam can only promise her he won't eat it for now. Hell, wait until she's hungry. The two return to their run and continue building their shelter, piling the collected palm leaves together for the roof. They won't fear the rain at night, and as night falls, as they replenish each other's protein, a noise below startles them. Adam tenses, grabbing his knife, only to find it's a small animal which circles for a bit before leaving. The next morning, Adam intended to take the turtle for breakfast, but upon returning, he finds his wife playing with the turtle. It seems she's really taken a liking to it. He can only go out to find other food. He quickly spots a large boar and calls his wife to help. It turns out to be a giant centipede. Without waiting for Eva to help, he catches the centipede with his bare hands, preparing to roast it for a meal, but suddenly remembers he hasn't started a fire, so he puts it in his front pouch and returns to camp. Adam uses his knife to peel bark to start a fire, as he has no fire starting tools. He can only call his wife, and together they rub 2 sticks together against a bamboo. After 7 to 49 minutes, the fire is finally lit. Eva is sweating profusely. She prepares to go to the river for a cool bath, while Adam boils water in a bamboo tube at camp. Just as he's about to take a sip to soothe his throat, a scream echoes from the forest. The situation is dire. He rushes over immediately, the cries growing louder. He rushes over to find his wife. Eva has accidentally fallen into the mud. Fortunately, it was just a scare. Adam easily pulls her out of the mud and quickly gives her a loving hug to comfort her. Eva, now rescued, is in good spirits. She decides to release the turtle they caught yesterday. Truly, spiritual matters are not to be trifled with, for if you do, it will be very funny. Next, they bring the boar back to camp, turning it into a delicious roast. The two have a filling meal the next morning. The cries of monkeys wake them. Today they will build a raft to escape The choice of materials is also crucial. One should not choose heavy wood. Adam taps each tree. With his knife, the lighter the sound the better it is to choose for chopping. The felled trees must also be cut into sections. Meanwhile, Eva is not idle. She is stripping bark to make rope. The two work tirelessly, lashing several logs together, then binding them with the bark. A raft is nearing completion. When everything is ready, they just need to wait for the rain. When the river water rises, they can set off. The weather here is as fickle as a young girl. It rains when it says it will. That night it rained heavily and the river water indeed rose significantly. The next day, as the two prepared to head home, they used their strength to push the raft into the water. After much effort, they finally launched the raft into the river. They drifted downstream, and after 2 hours adrift, they reached the main Amazon River. A fishing boat ahead sped towards them. Now they could finally go home and prepare for their next challenge. This time Adam took his wife to the western United States, Utah. The scenery here was breathtaking, but tragedy struck early on. Their raft capsized and they were thrown into the icy river water. They struggled to swim ashore. The water temperature was a mere 7 degrees Celsius. Shivering from the cold, they reached the bank. They needed to start a fire quickly before their bodies lost too much heat. Adam opened his backpack and took out some tools. Inside he found toilet paper and steel wool. He didn't have a lighter, but that didn't stop Adam. He decided to start a fire using electricity. First he removed the battery from the radio. Then he connected the steel wool to the positive and negative terminals of the battery, creating a short circuit to generate heat. He placed the toilet paper on top and soon a flame ignited. They could sleep directly on the sand that night. They just needed to find some wood to block the wind. The temperature dropped sharply at night and Eva was freezing. At a crucial moment, Adam decided to play a game with his wife. The next morning, Eva woke up with a sore back and a dry mouth. Seeing a dung beetle rolling its ball nearby, they both started salivating. Adam suggested no, but they were surrounded by scorching sand dunes, not a single blade of grass in sight. After a brief discussion, they decided to try the other side of the river. They ran back and put on their life vests. The river current was strong and they were swept away. It took a lot of effort to reach the other bank. Eva was exhausted. Adam told her to rest while he scouted ahead. To his surprise, there was another river in front of them. This meant they were on an island and still had to swim to the other side. He returned to tell his wife the news. Eva broke down when she heard this, but staying on the island meant certain starvation. With no other choice, they shouldered their gear and continued. They each grabbed a stick to help them cross the river. The current was swift. Midway across, Adam was swept away. Fortunately, after a struggle, they both managed to swim to the other bank. After the first checkpoint, they needed to start a fire quickly and then build a shelter. After that, they would go out to find food. Adam found a plant called cattail. Its roots were rich in carbohydrates and could be eaten raw. He also gathered a large bunch to bring back to camp. Eva tried some. It was crunchy and tasted like onion. She mentioned it would be better with some meat. She told her husband Adam that she had just seen a frog in the river. Adam grabbed a stick and headed to the riverbank. He quickly spotted his target, raised his stick high and struck a fatal blow, sending the frog to meet its maker. Eva watched from the side, constantly praising her strong man, saying even a frog couldn't defeat him. Adam picked up the frog and examined it. This species was small, but it letting out a loud cry, but at the same time its meat is very tender. Eva quickly brought it back to prepare. Today's main course is frog. Just thinking about it makes my mouth water. Adam thought it wasn't enough. He caught 2 more fat bugs. After half an hour of boiling, a delicious dinner was finally ready. Adam tasted a fat bug. He said it really tasted like a robber. The frog meat is still better. The two ate their fill, then played a game. The next morning, both came to the riverbank to think about how to get out of here. Adam pointed towards the distant mountain. He suggested climbing up to observe the surrounding situation. As the two were climbing up, but things didn't seem to be going well, they couldn't see any way out. It seemed they could only stay by the river and wait for the rescuer to arrive. Which means they need a lot of food. The plant that looks like garlic is called zucca. Its petals can be eaten raw. It tastes like soap. Locals would grind it and use it as soap, and now for the two of them a rare dessert. The stem of a zucca plant contains 160 K. Then they found wild asparagus under a tree. Without a word, they pulled it up and ate their fill. After eating, they were resting in the shade of the tree. At this moment, a turkey crowed again. Adam immediately perked up. If they could eat turkey tonight, it would be amazing. A rare opportunity. He got up and used wood and rope to make a bow and arrow, sharpened the leaves into arrowheads, and finally found iron ore on the spot. Adam demonstrated his archery skills by hitting the target. Eva appeared weak, but then also hit the target. The two carried their weapons and headed towards the turkeys. As they were about to shoot, the alert turkeys sensed danger. They quickly fled. Adam saw this and hurried after them. He chased them from east to west. Eva was exhausted and couldn't keep up with Adam's pace. 30 minutes later, Adam finally returned. But with no catch, the two looked dejected. The plan to eat turkey was abandoned. On the way back, Adam found a new scent. A small rabbit was hopping. Adam seized the opportunity and slowly approached, finding the right moment to shoot. Nothing unexpected happened. The rabbit fled at the speed of light. Adam chased after it, wanting to catch it for dinner. However, the agile rabbit quickly disappeared, leaving only Adam's bewildered expression. At this moment, the light of confidence was no longer visible on his face. Eva was heartbroken. She ate dog food to comfort her husband. Adam stood up again, picked up his stick, and went to the riverbank to find frogs. Timing it perfectly, he struck down with his stick. The frog went to the afterlife. On the spot, he finally regained some dignity. The dinner was again rich with frog. The taste was amazing. That night the two were extremely happy. The next morning, this was the 4th day since the two were stranded here. Today Adam would go find turkeys. Just then a canoe appeared. The two waved their hands. Finally they could go home. Their final challenge to end their honeymoon. Could also go home. The final challenge for both of them to end their honeymoon. They reached a glacier in southwestern Alaska where the water was unfathomably deep with giant ice caves every 5 meters. If they weren't careful, they could end up eating a whole bunch of bananas on the cupboard. Within a 10 kilometers radius, not even an ant could be seen. They had to get out of here before nightfall because the temperature would drop to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Waiting for them was only death, but luckily they could drink clean water at any time. If it were different, they could just scoop it up and drink it directly. They walked like this for over 2 hours and finally got out of the icy area. According to the next calculation, they should head to the beach as it would be easier to find food there. At least if there was nothing else to do, they could enjoy the sea view. But they had to cross a dense forest to reach the beach. The forest was the territory of grizzly bears, so they needed to be cautious. As soon as they entered the forest, they discovered wild blueberries. Faced with this free meal, they couldn't pass it up. Blueberries are rich in sugar and can replenish their energy. Right after, they found a tree hollow. At first they thought it might be a shelter, but upon closer inspection they realized it was a bear's den. No matter the challenge, one should risk their life. They quickly moved away from this dangerous place and continued to look for another spot to camp. Continuing on, they found a flat grassy area. Having walked for many hours, Eva lay down tiredly to sleep more comfortably at night. Adam